Hi guys, it's Amy and it's Fabulous Friday, and this week we're going to be talking about how to cope with the summer months when you suffer from mental health illness, such as obviously the eating disorders and self-harm, about exposing scars to people, and it's also about how to prepare for these kind of activities and how to know what you're doing before you step into them. Now, I'm going to firstly talk about food as my main topic. At the moment. I'm going to go on to self-harm a bit later on, but my main thing about food is that it actually, if you think about it, can be a lot easier in the summer months. The reason why that is because I think in summer you get a lot of kind of food events where you can like pick and choose what you want rather than having to actually sit down at a proper meal. Because you have things like barbecues, picnics, and kind of like buffets and things like that where you can pick, and I find that happens more frequently in the summer months because so people are not kind of restricted to sitting at the table and things like that, and I think that actually in respect makes summer a lot easier because in that respect you can pick what you want rather than being forced to eat something. So in regard to food, I think that sometimes it can be a lot easier, and it does seem daunting going to somewhere where there is food, but at least you don't feel pressured to eat, something that you don't want to, and I think that's really important. But if you are, however, going out to a restaurant with friends, and you're things like that, you're going out for a summer meal or something like that, then I'm going to just take Felicia's advice here and plan ahead. Maybe look up the restaurant that you're going to and just kind of pick out some foods that you feel comfortable with eating rather than have a huge overthrown panic when you get there, because it's always better to be prepared, and this is what the whole point of this video is about, to be prepared for the summer months and things like that. In regard to anxiety, I'm going to talk about quickly now. A lot of our viewers I know suffer from social anxiety, and I know quite a few people who do. It's not something that I personally have struggled with, although I do actually suffer from anxiety, not social anxiety. Although I do have a few tips of advice in regard to being anxious around people, is to take somebody with you to the place where you're going who you feel comfortable with. It's always about you and how, if you're feeling comfortable in the surroundings that you're in, and if you're not, then to be honest there's no point in doing so, because I always make sure that I go to a place where I'm going to feel safe, and if I don't feel as if the place I'm going is going to be safe, then I won't go. So it's probably best to make sure that you're with somebody that you feel comfortable with, who you can turn to, and who knows about your issues as well, who you can turn to if something if something happens, and just somebody there who you can turn to and say, you know what, I feel a little bit panicky about this, can you talk to me and just kind of reassure me. And for me, that person would probably be my boyfriend, Nathan. Me and him are always together anyway, and I probably am a little bit too dependent on him in regards to going places, although I am starting to be a little bit more independent now. But I guess it makes me feel better when I'm going to a party and I have him there, because I don't feel, he knows about my issues and he understands me, and so I don't kind of feel so alone about my problems and things like that, and I'm not feeling anxious all by myself. I've got somebody to share the kind of burden with me, which makes it sound really, really horrible actually. I make that sound really bad, but you know what I mean. Another thing to do is remind yourself what summer's all about. Now, I actually came across a blog this morning whilst making a few notes about this topic, and people, there was a girl there who was saying, just remember what summer's about. Summer is about lazing on the beach, put your sunglasses on with a nice book in your hand, water fights. I'm trying to think, it's about picnics and it's about barbecues, and summer is fun. It really is fun, and it is my favourite time of year. Even though it can be pretty daunting, it is my favourite time of year, most definitely. And I think that summer is there to be enjoyed and there to be cherished, and I think some people, we all need to remind ourselves about how amazing the summertime is. There's so much you can do with summer, and it's an amazing season. I think it's awesome. Okay, she says that summer is not supposed to be about hating your body. It's about coconut lotion, popsicle tongues and cartwheels in the sand, summer camp, porch swings and schwitzing in the shade, slip and slides, fireworks and forever dusk. And yes, it's about food. And then she goes on about some food. And then she said, as a child, no one had to tell you how to prepare for swimsuit season. The same holds true now. Getting bikini ready is as simple as taking off your clothes and putting on a bikini. And it kind of makes you think, you know, nobody told us this when we were kids, you know. Nobody said you have to shape up, you have to do this for summer, you have to do that for summer. You know, why can't we be carefree as children and enjoy our summer again? Even no matter how old we are, no matter how eating disordered we feel, we can do it. So join me in these next few months in bringing summer back. Let's keep in mind the wonderful culture of summer, where the size or shape of your belly, upper arms, thighs, hips and butts have nothing to do with barreling into the surf, hurling watermelon seeds or catching fireflies in a jar. And I love this blog so much. It's called Bringing Summer Back. And yeah, I just printed it off the internet. And I just think, remind yourself of the fabulousness of summer. And it should encourage you to enjoy yourself just that tiny bit more, and listen to the words that I just put on the blog as well. Okay, in regards to, okay, also something to do with eating disorders. A lot of girls obviously watch our videos, may be recovered or they may be in recovery, and they may find that, or I find this anyway, that fitting into my clothes from last year's summer can be a real kind of struggle, because I was a lot thinner, and you know, now I kind of feel a little bit depressed and I have to put summer clothes on that I haven't worn since like last year or something like that. And my advice for that would be just buy new clothes. Just go out and go shopping and get a whole new summer wardrobe, because you know, something that's going to make you feel absolutely fabulous and confident in yourself. Because, you know, I was really depressed trying to, you know, find things that I was going to actually struggle to fit into. And then I started getting all those negative emotions back that are associated with eating disorders. And the thing is, I shouldn't have to. So my advice for that would be to just go out and treat yourself to a whole new summer wardrobe, to embrace your new body, to embrace yourself. And yeah, that's my kind of advice for that kind of thing. My other thing that I'm talking about is self-harm. I have been a self-harmer in my life. When I was younger, I wouldn't tell anybody, and I would do the complete opposite of what I'm going to tell you to do now and wear long sleeves, but I was a lot younger at the time, and you know, a lot more secretive. And today, if I was still self-harming, I probably would show my scars and be proud of them. And you know, you could do things if you're really that embarrassed about your scars or ashamed of scars, which you shouldn't be at all. But there are kind of other options, like wearing long shirts with like a lighter material. Like you've got those very floaty shirts that are going around at the moment with the long, I don't know what they're called, with the longer material. You've got things like that which you can do. I think there's like caftans and things like that. But all I can say is that if you act like there isn't a problem, then people are bound not to ask you questions. Yeah, sure, you may get some staring, you may get some, you know, negative comments. But if anyone did that to me, if, you know, I had scars on my arm still, and, you know, people came up to me completely staring, I would actually confront them, because I don't like people who aren't educated about self-harm. I think everybody should be educated about mental illness and the severity of self-harm. And if somebody was to stare at my arms or my legs or anything like that, I would say, look, okay, are you staring for a reason? This is what happened to me. This is actually severe. This is serious, and I'm going on and enjoying my life, and you should as well. And, you know, I think it's really important to just be completely carefree and confident in yourself. You know, you've been through a huge battle in regard to self-harm, but, you know, going out and embracing your scars means that you're overcoming it, and that's a really big step. You know, it's like you fought a battle, but you won the battle. You know, that's pretty awesome. Another thing is to do not be ashamed of scars. You know, people, a lot of, more recently, I've actually been coming out to people about what's happened to me. I think somebody can make a really nasty comment about a mental health illness, and I'd say, look, this is, you know, what are you talking about? You know, what you say? And then I'd start talking to them about what happened to me, because I think all of us as mental health sufferers should educate more, and obviously it's the purpose of this channel to educate people in eating disorders anyway. But I still think that eating disorders and self-harm and, you know, the like are not very well educated and put forward at all. And I think that the more that we talk about it, the more, you know, coverage we can get across. And I actually recently, I've been told that people have been proud of me for opening up about my story, and telling people about what has happened to me. And you know, I'm proud of myself in a way, because I don't feel like I have to hide anything anymore, and I can actually be happy in my skin. And you know what, nobody's going to be staring at you. Nobody's going to be, you know, especially if they're true friends. I'm going to just expand on something that Ariel said as well, that if they're true friends and people who love you for who you are, then they're not going to judge you. They're not going to be cruel, and they're not going to be horrid. They're actually going to be proud of you for learning to embrace yourself for who you are, and not having to hide back anymore, and be open and honest about your problems and your issues. And that's something that used to amaze me in other people, and now I've kind of done it myself. Apparently it inspires other people as well, so you know, that's great. And yeah, educate people through your story. They are my kind of ways, you know, to deal with the summer months. It is really difficult. Summer is a stressful time for a lot of people, but in regard to you know, remind yourself. And also as well, for those dealing with social anxiety, I found a really good quote earlier, for people who are struggling to kind of go out with people and, you know, and face the outside world. And I found this quote called, "A slow start is better than no start." Now, this can apply in many ways. So say if you've got a huge group of friends that you've got to see, maybe not start off so big, maybe just kind of go out with a couple of friends, or just go out with, like with me, it would be my boyfriend, just go out with one person, and then just like build it up step by step. In regards to showing your scars, maybe if your scars are all the way up your arm, just maybe show a little bit of your scars, and then maybe just kind of keep working upon it. Same with the eating. Eat what you feel comfortable with. Don't kind of feel pressured to eat anything or do anything that you don't want to do. It's completely up to you. You might even want to have a word with somebody and just say, look, I have a bit of an issue with food, so I won't be eating as much. But sometimes I think with the summer, a lot of people are very carefree anyway, so a lot of people don't really notice, and you can kind of get away with it in a way. But the same with Felicia, plan ahead, know what you're doing. Maybe you can also speak to, if you're going to a restaurant, you can speak to the waiter or the waitresses, and maybe ask them to change some of the recipes to alter your kind of style and what you think would be best for you, because I know a lot of restaurants that would be happy to do that, and alternate menus and things like that, just, you know, so the customer's happy. And yes, that's it from me actually. I talk really fast and I'm really sorry. It seems to be, I'm stammering a lot today, I'm really sorry. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you can get a lot out of it. They are my kind of things that I came up with in my little note taking, and I'll see you next week for the next Fabulous Friday video. I love you all, and goodbye.